Hello loves, welcome back to TigeraGitana. Today we are going to be doing a spiritual controversial video. We're going to be covering spirituality and politics, okay? I'm going to try to keep this video a little bit short because I don't want to, you guys know I talk a lot. So I don't want to like talk at y'all a lot. But I pretty much use the Wear Beauty Confident Energy palette today for my eyes. And the number 3 palette, I used the Fire Freak and Nudie Booty from the Fenty Beauty Snap Shadows. But I absolutely love Selena Gomez's eyeshadows. They're just so amazing. I'm just gonna do my brows because we didn't get to that point yet, so we're gonna get started. I picked 3 topics for us to talk about just to challenge your views on a spiritual level, and you can let me know in the comments what are your views, what you especially as a spiritual person, what you agree with, what you disagree with, what's going on. And if you are that type of person that thinks that just because you're spiritual that you shouldn't be political and that you shouldn't have an opinion on anything politics, because I do know a lot of spiritual people in the community who just do not even look at the news, see what's going on. They're like, oh, that doesn't affect me, I have my own personal power. And then they don't realize that even the taxes that they pay actually go into the collective power of giving it to certain people who then move that money around, because money is definitely seen as a source of power in the world today. And so that's why the first topic is going to be the economy. Okay, and I know that this may seem like it shouldn't be a spiritual issue, but it really is. You want me to tell you why? Because of all the damn money spells that we be doing out here, but also because the economy is very much an energy within itself. If the economy of the nation, of your house, of your block, of your state, if it's really bad, that energy multiplies. It impacts your neighbors, it impacts who you work with, it impacts what's going on. If you see a lot of what happens within the economy of that state, of that city, of what's going on, how they bring money and how that gets, the wealth gets pushed through. You see more jobs coming in when that state is more financially stable. New York will be an example for that because of all the damn people who shoot movies up in the city. Literally, New York City just carries New York State, like straight up carries New York State financially. And it made me laugh when Cuomo this year was talking about how Mitch McConnell, who is the senator from Kentucky, did not want to help New York financially when his state is the number 3 state to take the most money out of the federal pot, and they're actually one of the highest ranking in like food stamps and like government run assistance in the country. Like, they take the most out of the pot, yet they're one of the most Republican states in the country. They literally just reelected his, can't stand him, really can't stand him, but they just reelected him. So there's that. But when you look at, and he really pointed it out, that it was like, you don't want to help New York, but New York literally gives you your money. So how does that work? And you even seen like California and a lot of like the movement in California. I don't know if you guys have paid attention to this, but California, to a point, there were people who really wanted to take California out of the United States, and they were trying to vote to, for California to be its own country, because it is the number 1 state with the most population. It has the highest population in the country. They have millions and millions and millions of people. New York being the 3rd, Texas being the 2nd states in the country. And so you see a lot of the financial abundance that goes through California, even though you see that is very disproportionate throughout the state. And you see that they also have a lot of different issues that they're going on, especially when it comes to the forest burning down, literally the earth burning down. California is also grows 76% of the food in the United States. So So I'm going to be using the Gimme Brow in number 3. Yeah, 3 by Benefit. So California, which grows 76% of the food in the United States, is literally burning down. So when you watch a lot of the stuff that's going on in California on the economic level, it's not necessarily the best right now. So they're going through a lot of different type of issues, and it definitely affects their economy. And because that California is basically the state of entertainment, it affects their economy and how they grow their economy, how they continue to bring in more money to the state. So when we talk about the economy on a spiritual level, a lot of what we say is basically surrounded about abundance. And you find everybody talks about abundance, because abundance is something that a lot of people actually lack in manifesting. Some people are really good at it because they're blessed with their birth chart. And you can actually see how, you know, Jupiter plays a role in your abundance and how to tap into that. If you look at your natal chart, it's definitely 1000% there. But you can also see, okay, how do I put this? You can also see how your abundance gets blocked, especially if you have certain things going on, like especially with money. Like if you have, you know, a Venus in retrograde, you might just see money later on in life. Different type of issues. You can see how abundance and money, your second house energy, gets, I'm just going to use, Ablaze from the Magnetic Spirit palette, the Rare Beauty palette. I have both palettes, they're really amazing, but I'm just going to use this one right here to line my eyes. Tappity tap tap. So when it comes to the economy, because we're always talking about abundance and money, you do see how religion has really overused it a little bit. You see how churches, you know, get tax credits and they don't really get taxed. They don't get taxed on because they're a religion, you know, a religious area, a church. You see how it gets pretty much abused throughout time and in space at this point, and it creates a lot of problems, because if you're not religious, you know, you're more spiritual, but you don't go to that home base, you don't get the same tax benefits as someone who is. So it just creates a lot of different types of barriers between how you reach abundance versus how some people have, you know, created their own abundance through the government, through religion, and ultimately kept it from themselves. There was this one story that I saw in the news one time, and you can actually, I think you can still look it up. It was like the Church of Satan, and then they had like a Jesus statue in like a certain state or whatever. But so the Church of Satan was like, this is wrong because there's supposed to be a separation of church and state. And so we're going to put up a statue of Satan and you can't take it off because we're a religion. And basically they couldn't take it off, and it was really, really funny. So you kind of see how there's like a difference, saying like, oh, mine is right, yours is wrong type of thing. And so it creates the energy in the people, and it grows the people in thinking that only they should have money, only they should be able to do something. It's really, really, really originates from that mentality of only you being able to have that abundance, only you being able to succeed, only you being able to grow and prosper and do all of these things. And if you're not doing all of that, then it's probably because you're not Christian, or probably because you're not X, Y, C, and B. There's a lot of people who bring people down just because of their beliefs. And even if you are in that group of people, if you already, you know, lack to some capacity, you're also seen as less than to an extent, because you then would be in that stage of where you're the giver, you're the ones who give to sustain the community, to sustain the masses. And when it comes to the economy, just how the church has the people give to the church to sustain the church, and being able to bring things to the church and buy new things and all that stuff, that the people are the one, all of those donations that they take in is might as well be compared to all of the taxes that the government takes to then divide it into certain areas and for it to come back to us in some sort of program or X, Y, C, and B. And so when you look at the way Republicans do not want social programs, they want a lesser of a hand of the government in anybody's business except for what they specifically decide is their business. It makes no sense, because even with the church, it's basically like you not being able to go to the pastor and ask the pastor what he spent the money on. And this is a great question to ask for those multi-millionaire like pastors who go on those TV shows and are always asking for the seed to plant a seed and give money and give money and give money, and then they have like a jet and a helicopter or whatever, and where your money's going to, and they're telling you that you giving them money is a good thing, because then your money will somehow multiply at some point because you gave them your seed. It literally makes no sense. But that's really the mentality around the economy when it comes to religion right now. And when you look at it on a spiritual level, we as spiritual people talk about money a lot. We talk about abundance a lot. We try to work a lot with Venus energy, which rules spirituality. And so we really try to tap into financial abundance and calling in money and healing a lot of our money trauma that has been created by the same people who are trying to stop us from getting more money. So when the economy on a social level, on a government level, is wrong, when you're living in a block or that is just like everybody else is struggling with money, that energy is around you. That energy is around your home space. If your neighbors are going through it, that energy is going to infiltrate your own space, is going to affect your money, your economy, the economy of that area, the economy of that town. This is why New York City has its successes where it does, and why it's able to pull in and rank in money, just because people film. Just from the film industry, New York City makes a ton of money. So how do you, as a spiritual first person, feel about the economy? And do you think that you should be concerned about the economy? Is that something that you look at? Because I know there's also, wealthy people who just look at economical abundance as like paying attention to the stock market and seeing how the stock market is behaving. And I do think that is a mistake, because when you look at the stock market, not everybody can afford it, because we're all not in that same mindset. We're not all in that same standing on a financial level to be able to afford those type of things. So is the economy something that you personally ignore, or is it something that you take a little bit more time in partaking in? And do you pay attention to where you're living, what energy is around you? Like, all of these things matter. So you should have a political opinion about the economy, and it should, because it does affect your own wealth and you being able to call your own abundance to you, with no matter what it is that's going on. The next topic that we're going to talk about is abortion. And I do feel like this topic is very complicated, but I do have a couple of opinions on it, and I'm going to explain why I have the opinions that I do. Just going to brush off the little bit of the fallout, which wasn't even a lot at all. And I'm going to just start off on mascara. I'm using the Dior Show, which is a new formula. And it has like this, like you just pull it, it doesn't twist, it just pulls. It's like really weird. But when it comes about abortion and women's rights, I personally, and let me know how you feel about this in the comments if you want to, you don't have to, but what is your opinion about abortion? And if other people should be partaking in it, not necessarily you. Like, are you gonna do it? Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, because we have this, you know, big hand on, like, hey, you know, I don't think you should be able to do it. Like, there's people who actually, especially Republicans, they believe that other people shouldn't be able to do it for whatever reason. Why, if you do feel that way, why don't you? And don't just say the Bible. Like, actually can give a meaningful answer as to why. Now, my personal opinion, I am a pro-choice, and the reason being is because I personally believe that people should have the choice to do what they need to do. But that includes to making mistakes. That includes to making the right choices for them. Now, me doing a lot of past life work, I have learned so much of how easy it is to have and create traumas. And me being an astrologer, I have also seen charts where people they're literally not meant to have kids, do not have the drive to have kids, is not within their life purpose to have kids. It's just not who they are. They don't need it. They don't want it. It has nothing to do with what they're meant to do in this lifetime. And so if they end up getting to a point where they do end up getting pregnant to some capacity, it actually brings harm to their own soul, on a soul level. So I do understand the different sides, and I do see how, you know, even carrying a child that is unwanted because of some traumatic reason, how that can be harmful on a soul level. But I also see, again, it goes both ways, because when it comes to fertility and, you know, the gods and goddesses, the fertility goddesses, Yemaya, the Orisha of fertility and motherhood, I personally will tell you that she would not agree with someone basically having an abortion, especially if they're a daughter of Yemaya, right off the bat. And the reason being is because that is a misuse of her energy. And I've seen it happen to some of my friends where it's just like they went and had an abortion and it was considered an offense, and they ended up having sacral chakra problems and manifested some illnesses and stuff, and then later on they couldn't have kids. It's like it creates a whole entire issue when it comes to fertility and looking at working with the womb as a way to have creation, to bring creation into the world. So it's a very deep topic, but I still think that there should be a choice in that. Why? Because people should have to be able to dissect their situation and make that choice, and have it be something that is going to liberate them, or something that is going to, you know, if they do end up regretting it later, that's going to be a trauma that they're going to have to heal at some later time. But I do feel like people should still have the choice to be able to do that. I shouldn't tell them like, hey, you have to deal with this, even though they're like, Abby, but this is not me. Like, how am I supposed to oh, well, sorry, it's my opinion that you should have to keep it. I can't say that. I personally can't say that. We're in the age of Aquarius. It's definitely an upgrade on a social level, and I do feel like we all need to, because Aquarius works through the crown chakra, and again, that's like that access to the Akashic records, your past life. I can see why it would be a soul level offense, but I can also see how it would be a soul level offense to not have the choice. And if that's what you really wanted to do and needed to do for your own growth, and then you don't end up doing it, I can see how it can basically go both ways. So when it comes to abortion, I can also see how on a God level, on a deity's level, it can be an offense to those spirits. So what do you feel about that? How do you feel about that, especially when it comes to certain things that get passed down through the family, when it comes to issues with fertility? Where do you think that stems from? Where do you think that comes from? So yeah, that's one of the things that I like to know when it comes to fertility and abortion and politics. Do you actually believe that women shouldn't have the choice to decide what happens to their bodies, what is best for them, what they need to do, how they need to live you know, who they can be with. I've always been the person, and this is not to like slut shame anybody, it's just that I've always been the person who has been very mindful of who I give access to my sacral chakra, because I always said I will never be anybody's baby mama. Not today, Satan. Not today, not tomorrow, not in this lifetime, not in the next one either. Because I personally believe that I would, especially as a Capricorn, if I'm gonna invest that to you, I better have some sort of connection to you. I better have feelings. I better have like a soul level connection. Like it better be something that is going to be meaningful to some capacity. There's still a element of that traditional aspects for me because I am a Capricorn, so I do understand my perspective in seeing it that way. But that's just always been me. Like I've never been one to overuse my sacral space for pleasure in that way, just in the way where I have to have someone, you know, do that and that kind of stuff. Like I'll be fine. I can take care of my damn self, quite frankly. And so it doesn't create more problems for me than I should, because especially when I was younger, there's no way in hell I would have wanted to have a child. I would have definitely not been ready for one either. And I grew up in a religious family, so it definitely would have been a frustrating experience for me during the time, because there's other things that you're supposed to be doing during that time, and that is not something that personally for me was something that I wanted to particularly have to deal with, because it would have been something that I would have had to deal with. And that's why they're called unwanted pregnancies. Now, I'm not trying to, you know, shame anybody who ended up having a child when they were 16 or anything like that. I'm just saying, personally, I've had set intentions since I was like 9 years old, that especially because my half sister actually got pregnant while she was in high school, and my dad kicked her out of the house. And so I had a very visual, like, you know, in the face experience when it came to the repercussions of doing something like that, and how it was seen on a religious level, because again, I grew up in a Christian family, half Catholic, half Christian, and so I was not going to be the one to put myself in a situation where I had to deal with that. I literally tried to be the most unbotherable kid of all time. I minded my business, and I listened a lot, I studied a lot, big nerd, I read a lot, and I tried to learn in different ways. I tried to learn by understanding the past versus by having to go through the experience and then regretting certain things or not. Like, it's just, I think it was more productive of my time during that time, because again, Capricorns are very mindful of investments. When we have to invest in something for a long time, it's like, wait, I mean, think about it. This is a commitment. We're really big on commitment. So that's not something that I was willing to commit to. So that's where my views on abortion come from in that regard when I was young. But now, I definitely feel like people still need to have their own choice to be able to dictate their own bodies. It is your soul, and nobody should be telling you what you can and cannot do with it. I understand that there are crimes that, you know, people can do that are against humanity, that would be harmful for, you know, like if you kill someone, that's obviously a crime, and you obviously shouldn't do that, because that's another crime against the soul. But for the most part, oh, hold on. To get that edge right there. What? There you go. For the most part, I do feel like choice matters. Choice matters, because then you would have to come to terms with your choices later. You can't just be like, well, I was forced, so I didn't even have a choice. No, you chose, so you deal with the aftermath of the consequences of that choice on your own time. Okay, that's pretty much what my belief around that specific topic is. Now, the last topic that we're going to be talking about is climate change. And before I give you my opinion on climate change, I'm just going to read you some Bible verses on climate change, because we're going to be petty today. We're going to be petty today. So starting right from Genesis, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and keep it. Okay? You guys remember when I recently said in the live that Christians are supposed to be taking care of the planet? They're supposed to be taking care of the planet. Climate change is supposed to be a topic of conversation just as much as abortion is, just as much as religious liberties, just as much as all of that. Climate change is supposed to be a topic that they're supposed to focus on. It's in the Bible right from the beginning. You got the land, you have to take care of it. You have to keep it. You have to take care of it, okay? But that's something that gets very dismissed, and that's also very much in the Bible because a lot of people love to dismiss it. Jeremiah, I brought you into a plentiful land to enjoy its fruits and its good things. But when you came in, you defiled my land and made my heritage an abomination. And honestly, straight up, it's just straight up facts. Like, straight up facts. Like, just straight up facts. Humans have just completely disregarded the earth completely. And to the point where there's some places on the world that is just uninhabitable from how much that we have, you know, polluted it and harmed the planet as a whole. And it's just so sad. Here's another one. And I will break the pride of your power, and I will make your heavens like iron and your earth like bronze, and your strength shall be spent in vain. For your land shall not yield its increase, and the trees of the land shall not yield their fruit. And this is a lot of the stuff that's happening with the droughts throughout the United States, with the not being able to farm, not being able to sustain the lands, because again, it's the stolen lands. And the Native Americans really had, all the different Native Americans in this land had a way to maintain the land. Even in the forests of California, Native Americans actually used to burn small fires in the woods just to maintain the wood, to maintain the trees in the woods, to have a controlled fire, to really maintain everything. And when we took over California, we completely disregarded all those practices, and now every damn weekend California is burning down. Why? Because we really have not done the practices that we needed to from the time that this started. They knew what that we're doing, and we completely came in and we're like, no, this is our land now, okay? And then that's it. And then that's it. We just really tried it. We really did. And this is why we're having a lot of problems seeing positive change and positive a lot of like social wealth and stuff like that within the United States, because the land is tainted. It has been tainted, especially with blood. Where's the other one? And there will be signs in sun and moon and stars, and on the earth distress of nations in perplexity because of the roaring of the sea and the waves. The earth lies defiled under its inhabitants, for they have transgressed the laws, violated the statutes, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore a curse devours the earth, and its inhabitants suffer for their guilt. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are scorched, and few men are left. Yeah, those are like the Bible verses that I pulled for this, because I do specifically think that climate change is a big problem, and the karma is very much dictated within the writings. And a lot of people like just love to disregard it. They're like, oh, well, Jesus is coming anyway, so you know the earth is supposed to go bad before he comes and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, no, because you're still supposed to take care of the earth. You think he's gonna be giving you cookies just because you didn't take care of the earth? Do you make sense? Are you making sense? Because you're not making sense. You're just not making sense. At this point in time, you were banned from making sense. Anyway, so I'm trying to figure out which lip color I'm gonna use. I think I'm gonna do this one. This one is Transform by Rare Beauty. This is like from the mini set, which I thought were really cute. I ended up buying all of them. But yes, when it comes to climate change, what are your spiritual views? I want to know. I want the tea. I want to know what my community thinks about climate change, because I think it's one of my absolute top issues when it comes to politics itself. Climate change is a big one for me, because I do think that a lot of people in power are ignoring it, and I think that it puts the rest of us in a really sensitive state. And I just don't think it's smart to play games with the environment right now, with how everything is, with like all of the work that has been put by our ancestors to take care of the land. Like, I specifically know my Native American ancestors absolutely hate all of the damage that has happened to the land. And it's just, oh my God. It's just something that's honestly just really sad. Like, it just makes me really sad for everybody involved. This is such a beautiful color. Oh my God. Hold on. This is such a beautiful color. I'm really glad that Biden won, because now we could get back into the Paris Agreement. Because if you think about it, especially as we get into that point, our generation, my generation, is getting to that point where we're trying to have kids. I've done so many readings this past week alone on people who want to have kids and are like, Abby, how do I do that? I feel like I'm blocked. I feel like there's something going on. It's not just their own thing. It's also like, bro, the earth is like, if we have kids, which some of us are definitely 100% are still have to do, how are we, like, what are we leaving them, you know? Okay, this is like the prettiest red I have ever worn. This is like my perfect red. It is really pretty. Which is funny because I haven't even tried Inspired. It's like a little bit darker, but for some reason it's just so pretty. It is so pretty. Yeah, what are your thoughts on climate change? What do you think we can be doing? Do you think spiritually that we should be connecting to the earth? Do you think that we should be helping the earth and doing our part? Because I definitely do. Do you think that there's more that we can be doing, and is that something that you care about? I know if you're Native American, that's something that definitely concerns you, because there's certain parts of the country that are still getting taken and misused, and everything that happened when Trump came into office, I still will never forget this, where Obama passed that to block the oil spill. I believe it was the oil spilling that was happening in that river, and then Obama came in and he was like, no, and he took it away. I was so mad because they were working really hard to maintain the land and maintain the water that they're drinking. It was like their drinking water. That river like did so much. And if you are spiritual to any capacity, rivers are a very powerful place for us. So it was just so, oof. I know what Shum was mad to shoot, but it was just so offensive to see the disregarding of them, of their needs, and how they themselves understand that they need the earth just as much as the earth needs them to advocate. So I get so worked up about climate change. It's one of my top issues when it comes to political issues, and I do feel like we need to be doing more socially. I feel like we need to put our best foot forward. I feel like we need to stop trying to dismiss the change that needs to happen, And ultimately, we need to be better as people. We need to be better, and we haven't been for a long time. And if you think that, you know, you should be focusing more on your spiritual work and ignore the politics that are happening in the world, you're wrong, because they go hand in hand. I know so many people in the spiritual community who disregard it, dismiss it, and think that, you know, they're just gonna go read their cards and think about something else. But that energy affects you. Everything that happens politically affects you. And you can call me naive. My Venus is in Aquarius. I have a very social awareness, and it affects you. It 1000% affects everybody, and it's really important for us to collectively reap what we sow. And we've been sowing some really bad seeds for a very long time. Okay, I'm just going to use the Natural Finish Photo Focus Primer, which I literally have like drops left. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys, you know, will enjoy the conversation. Let me know in the comments, what are your political views? I would love to know what your views are, especially if you're following my channel. And if you're not following, definitely make sure you subscribe, because we're always talking about different topics on here. So stay tuned. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell so you get notified every time I upload. Don't forget to check out the Patreon as well, because we're always learning and growing over there. And I will definitely see you guys in the next one. Okay, bye.